Hey, what's going on, everybody? Check it out. That is way too close. Sorry about that. There we go. Anyway, check it out. We had Frank Bruno on Base Nation TV a few months ago, or maybe last year. If you haven't seen that episode, strongly suggest you check it out. We had him on. We talked bass. We played a little bit. We had him back on to show a groove tutorial, something that was just crazy. It was hard for me to even get, but check that out if you haven't seen it already. We scheduled him again to come back and do a tutorial. We ended up talking and it just turned into a conversation. So I wasn't going to let you guys even see this because we really didn't do too much playing. We played just a little bit, but we had a conversation, a very, very important and vital conversation that a lot of you, or the majority of you, may need to listen to or may need to hear. So I think this was important. I just wanted to release this anyway. You can hear this on the podcast as well. I'll put this up there. Or if you're watching this now, just take some notes. We had a pretty in-depth conversation about the process of playing and the importance it is in the beginning of how to manage that inspiration, how to go through those obstacles in your beginning of your playing, how to, we talked about ear training, we talked about just the process. That's a few other things too that are very vital that you should know. So I wanted to let you guys see this, the inside of this, and we'll have Frank back on obviously periodically. But stay tuned for the next lesson. We'll be able to go in depth with his playing. He played for great artists all around the gospel community. One of you may know Fred Hammond. He plays for. But yeah, he's a monster and he has great insight. So enjoy this conversation. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.
A lot of people has asked me, it's like, my Frank, so I love your slap technique. And the number one thing that I say is, I literally studied Victor Wooten for 7 years. And so what I started doing was, and this wasn't someone that told me this beforehand. It was just after the fact. Then more and more folks, those who are more experienced than I am,
right,
would say, hey, one of the best ways to practice, just play with the radio or just keep playing. I know Jocko used to say that too. He would be like, I used to gig 8-9 times a week, and he would just be like, that's how I developed endurance.
Yeah,
because I kept playing. The more I played, the more, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So when I think about it, it's like, man, I got books and VHS videos here, and that's all really what it was is, sat down and just learn the songs, learn materials.
I mean,
Classical Thump was a good example.
You're not the only one. I mean, I did the same thing.
You know what I'm saying? So I remember I sat, they just sit there like Classical Thump, and it's a couple different techniques that's involved. And because I did that for so long over the years, it just became second nature. It was just so easy to do it. Absolutely. So when it comes to slapping, it was just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it became easy.
And just, yeah. So I always tell people, try to, get involved in, you may not be the biggest on learning different techniques, but, just establish facility.
Exactly.
Just because it'll help you to just be more comfortable with your instrument. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I said, I was the same way when I tried to learn the, all the Victor Wooten stuff. And after a while, I was like, man, why am I learning this crazy techniques and these stump techniques? But it was all great in the end because I learned the different techniques to help me in the
right.
future, because some of those slap techniques, some of those muting techniques that you learn while trying to learn this stuff, you start implementing in your playing, eventually. But the solo piece might not be so practical, I guess you can say, because Victor Wooten is Victor Wooten. But a lot of, like you said, a lot of those elements you can even use in your playing now every day.
Yeah, and then there's that. Then from a gospel standpoint, it's just like, man, I remember when Let the Praise Begin came out.
Yeah.
Everybody was either doing that groove or they were doing that little drum groove on kit. They were doing that. But, it's just one of those things, man, You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I used to sit there and just shed over top of that.
Yeah.
I had a 5-string Washburn bass.
Yeah.
Remember that bass so well, man. I was, and so doing that, just, man, and then any opportunity I had in church, any song that had something similar to that, man, I was throwing that groove right on top of it. especially during the offering
So
song.
funny
You
because
know,
that's so funny because I wanted it was a 6 string Washburn that I wanted for a long. When I first started playing, I didn't know anything about the brand names, but it was a Washburn 6 string bass that I always wanted. I don't know why.
yeah,
No, why. Do they
yes,
still
sir.
make Washburn? Washburn still around? Do you know?
Haven't seen a Washburn since, boy, I can't even
Right,
name it.
right. So that
And,
that particular that particular line, like you said, was from "Let the Praise Begin" from Fred Hammond.
hmm
Now, when did you start learning that? When, like, how early were you able to play that type of line? I mean, it's not
So, right.
crazy intricate, but when were you able to play that?
So here's what happened. Um, this was when Mars Music like started coming around. Everybody was hyped about that store. The music store was crazy situation
Mm-hmm.
at the time. You know, Me and my pops went to the music store, and now at that point, Let the Praise Begin had already came out. It came out. That
Yep.
record came out. It dropped. Everybody was hyped about it and all that kind of stuff. And I just listened to it. I'm like, man, this is dope, man. Fred Hammond,
Yeah.
wow. So then, my pops took me to the music store, and I had a 4 string Yamaha. I remember this. I bought it at Sam Ash. No, it was a store called Ace Music
Mm.
down in Palm Beach County. I remember this so well. 4 string Yamaha. Used to kill that bass. Only had a tone and a volume, and that was it.
That's it.
That was it. So my dad was like, man, you want to look into getting a 5 string? Because I always felt like, man, listening to Fred, he got that low end, they got that, and that song Jesus Is All,
Mm.
that TP demolished on that record.
Oh yeah.
So whenever I hear that song, I'm thinking when I first heard it at the time, it was like, man, you know what? How can I do exactly what he's doing? I can't do it on a 4 string. At least what I thought.
Right.
So we went and purchased a 5 string Washburn.
Yep.
So I went and started going song by song. I learned Jesus Is All, just a little bit of it, and then Let the Praise Begin. And then that's when it was that.
Yeah.
Funny story, and I want to share this because people was asking me all over. It's like, you ever got lessons? Absolutely not.
Mm. Yeah.
There was a guy working at Mars Music, and I'm gonna keep his name under wraps.
Okay.
But he was a phenomenal bass player.
Mhm.
Phenomenal bass player. I thought he was amazing. I thought he was God on bass.
Yeah.
And spoke to my dad. I was like, man, look, I'd love to get lessons from him. My dad got his contact info, all that. Long story short, fast forward. He pretty much ignored us. Never returned phone calls, text
wow.
messages, all that kind of stuff. So as a kid, I got a little depressed.
Yeah.
Felt, it was disheartening, all that kind of stuff. So a couple years later, I grind though in between that time period. I grind. I mean, didn't have high speed internet. It was dial up. So you could imagine trying to pull up a YouTube video,
Yeah.
buffer
Absolutely.
2-3 hours.
Oh, trust me, I know. I remember.
Yes, sir. So anyway, so that I did that. I practiced over the years, gotten better. Okay, I got a little better. Went to Guitar Center a few years later. I recognized him. He didn't recognize me.
Okay.
He just came. It's just like just a bass player hearing another bass player, a fellow bass player
Yep.
playing, and you walk over to him and say, "Oh man, what's up, man? I'm so and so."
Yeah.
So he introduced himself to me. I'm like, "I know who you are," and he was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Man, you sound pretty good, man." I was like, "Thank you." I was like, "I'm actually gonna tell you something. A few years back, I met you at Sam Ash."
Just drop it on, right?
Oh man, and I'm gonna be honest, I felt some way.
Oh, I'm
So
sure.
when he picked up a bass and started just kind of jamming with me.
Yeah.
And can you believe
Wow.
what I thought of him before?
Yeah.
My whole perspective changed.
Wow.
And it's not that he didn't get better. It's not that he was a bad player.
Yeah.
It's just that I've gotten better.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So your ears change.
Yep.
You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? As you get better, like things just start to sound different.
Yeah.
And so it was like, wow. At that moment, that's when I realized, like I'm not going to put all my eggs in just this basket of trying to get this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My destiny was just different. This is how my music walk just wound up being.
Yeah.
Here it is. I wanted lessons from this person.
Mm.
Didn't get a chance to.
Wow.
And so I think this is the reason why I respect, my journey now, because I put in.
Absolutely. You put in the work. Absolutely.
I encourage the cats coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't expect like that next day, instant gratification. Like, don't expect that. Like, cats like myself and you, like, been playing for bass 20 plus years.
Exactly.
And I just started hitting the road like just 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So just do the math. I've put in a lot of work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Put in a whole lot of work. This ain't something that's just been happening like just
Yeah, it
overnight.
didn't come out of thin air. But that's what I tell people that all the time. I tell all of my students that before, and it's some kind of discrepancy against or you know, disagreement with my method. And when I say enjoy that process, or I wish people would go through the process before they actually get a teacher, because grinding that out and having to figure it out on your own, it's like you said, it's another level of respect that you have for the music or for the game or for
Right.
the instrument
Absolutely.
that you end up creating over time, because you put in this work and you didn't just have it handed to you. So now you know what it takes to figure something out.
Correct.
You don't have
Yes.
somebody just giving you the answers to the test. You have to actually
Yep.
do the work and
You
figure
know
the
what they
work
say
out.
in math class? I got the answer right, but
How did you
what
get it?
process did you take? How did you get
Absolutely,
what
absolutely.
you know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. It's the same method, and that's why I pride so much on how I grew up. And you can't really be upset or be down on yourself about learning how to play by ear first and not knowing how to read, because I think that's a harder way to learn.
Yeah.
You have nothing to go off of. All you have to figure out, or you just have to rely or lean on your ear, and you have to figure
Here.
everything else out by yourself. Like you
Right.
said, that brings a level of respect, a level of consciousness to what you're actually doing, and it brings it pride in it as well, and
Right.
experience. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
like I get that feeling when you come back and the guy that didn't want to teach you, you're kind of excelled, and he's kind of looking at you now saying, "Oh wow, you sound great," but yeah, you
Right.
you
Right.
didn't you didn't want to help me, but it's all
Right.
good. It's
Right.
it's
Right.
all
Yeah.
good in the end. But yeah, man,
Absolutely.
that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yes,
Beautiful
sir,
thing.
man. Other than that, man, it's just constantly just putting work in, man. Constantly just putting repetition is key, man.
Absolutely.
Like just constantly. Like I grew up in church, so by default, man, shoot, that's all we knew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like playing church, man, just hard down. And I'm from New York originally. Now, I don't know, it's a different anointing up north, man. We in church Monday through Sunday,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. It's
And I
different.
mean, revivals is every night.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember sleeping under the benches and stuff on
Oh
some
wow.
nights. It was just what it was, man.
Yeah.
But that's just what it is. So I never forget that,
Yeah.
because I'm grateful for those days, for
Abs-
those nights where I didn't want to go to church or
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
did
It's
or however,
it's
but it
it's
was
all
just
about
one
the
of those
process,
things.
man. It's all
I
about the
still have
process.
videos of me singing in the choir, and I mean, it was pointless because the one little boy that's turned around looking at the drums the entire time is
Yeah.
me.
Is he? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
mean, it was bound to happen, man. This was just something that,
Absolutely.
and my parents will tell you the same thing, man. I'm grateful. It
Yeah.
started all stemmed from my pops, man.
Yeah.
He's a musician himself, and it was just one of those things that the way I grew up was, hey, did Frank practice today?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I kind of had to make sure I got that work in a little bit.
Yeah.
But so yeah, man,
But
all like you said, the
it's
process.
all like you
It's
said.
it's
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 all about the
important.
process. It's all about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
process, man. Like, so what question? What did you, when you first started learning, first trying to grind it out in the beginning
Mm.
of that difficult stage of what do I do next? What were some of your go-to things? Is most of it just learning songs, or most of it just listening to songs? What was your method as far as your practices? Getting used to the fretboard, or just getting used to the instrument? What are some of the things that you did in the past?
So I, when I picked up bass at like probably 11 or so, I mean, it was just that I stopped for 3 years because felt like I was stagnant, wasn't going nowhere,
Yeah,
and plus my attention span was just
got
all over the place.
got you.
So then I finally picked it up at like age 14.
Yep.
Now at that time there was a period where like I felt like I was just stuck. I was just kind of stuck because again I was still battling with the fact that, man, this dude don't really want to teach me,
Yeah,
and and what have you. So um, with that being said, it was like, okay, so between my peers, just it was this one dude, man. I still remember his name, Shakespeare.
wow.
Um, Dope bass player, amazing bass player. Is one of my bigger brothers that I looked up to, and I used to think he was amazing.
Mm,
So every time like their choir would come and sing, and I knew Shakespeare was playing bass, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm front row seats because
yeah,
I'm taking notes.
yeah,
I'm taking notes, and I wasn't afraid to ask questions.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like I was always asking, hey, so what you got in there? What bass? How do you do that? Like there was this thing, man. I remember so well when they did this Kirk Franklin joint, and then he just bust out in the middle of the song, just started like doing this tap and stuff, and I was like blown away. I'm like, this can't be true.
Yeah.
So that's when I went on a hunt. I went on a mission to like study like Victor Wooten and do whatever possible. Like, I mean, it got serious.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it got really serious. Like I was just digging in. So it wasn't just learning songs, because you can't just learn songs if you're like maybe stuck with this aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not certain, well, how's he executing this? I remember when I first was trying to learn Victor Wooten's Show of Hands, without a tablature, without a book.
Oh yeah.
You're wondering, okay, now is he tapping it?
How
Is
he
he
doing this?
plugging it? For the longest, I thought, well, maybe he's tapping it.
Yeah.
But if he is, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Found out, no, that's open hammer pluck technique.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I went on a mission to learn that.
Yeah.
Crazy thing is, before I got the book, I was pretty much there, like understanding it. It's like when you spend so much time with your instrument, like you just understand its nature and understand, okay, this is how he's tuned. So this makes sense for him for the open note to be what it is. You know,
exactly.
I was just connecting the dots. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit, slowly but surely, I was connecting the dots, and it was coming to me. It was coming to me. So, you know, when that kind of stuff happens, you're inspired more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So you just naturally had a good ear.
Yeah. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't come like that for everyone else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's just pretty much what it is. It's like spending as much time as you can with trying to learn and dissect songs and break it down.
Yeah.
And just put your ear to use.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Put your ear to use big time. Versus having to have somebody to constantly be like, oh yeah, it's like this. But it's like, no. Let's train our ears some more. Let's try to figure it out.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
let's establish that facility, because now if I could do that, then oh yeah, trying to learn Donna Lee off just audio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll pick it up. I'll figure whatever out. Even if I'm not all the way 100 with positioning and stuff.
Yeah.
As far as getting the
You get the
notation,
notes. Yeah, you get the notes now.
you kind of figure it out.
Yep.
That was my situation. I mean, the other thing to it too, and I have to say this, but it's just like MJ in basketball. You know, like MJ was special.
Yeah.
You know, Kobe was special. You know, they grind, but it's something special about them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's something special about them. That special thing that I'm saying, it's my analogy to like everyone isn't graced to do it. Like, you're graced to do what you do.
Yeah.
Saying somebody else can do it and maybe do a good job, but like you're graced to do what you do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is you. This is your calling. You're graced to do what you do.
Right.
Graced to do whatever it is that I do, however. And we're two different bass players. Like, you may have a pace of how you learn, and same thing with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it may take you 15 minutes to figure something out. It may take me 40 minutes to figure something out.
Yeah.
The end result's going to be the same. Like, we figured it out, but it's, you know,
Exactly.
so it's just one of those things.
Yeah,
well,
different learning process. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Man, that's
Yes.
crazy.
Man.
Like you said, a lot of people, and then some people have a great ear but don't put it to use.
Correct.
So they have that ability to be able to play almost anything they really can play. If you have a great ear, you can almost start on any instrument. Literally start on any instrument and be able to excel if you put if you put it to the test. If you water it, just use it constantly. Like you said, listen to the songs on the radio, try to figure out the notes of the song. Just kind of challenge yourself. Don't let don't wait for somebody to give you the answers. If you want it that bad, or if you want it bad enough, you're going to be able to take those steps necessary, or those extra steps really necessary to be able to grow that that need. You know what I mean? So and I say take advantage of that. And I hear that so many times, especially from gospel players, and it kind of I get saddened by it, because the narrative is completely wrong. It's like I don't know how to read music, so I really can't play. That's not necessarily true. It's actually an advantage that you have over anybody else, that you have.
That's funny you say that. Because I had just made a post, and I felt that it was necessary because of the comments that I've seen that I was reading. So I posted, a video of me playing keys, and I guess it shocked people that didn't know that Frank plays keys.
Which he was killing, by the way.
So man, shit. Well, I had to make it known, like, I actually started on keys before bass.
Yeah.
I started on drums and keys, and bass was something I picked up afterwards, later
Wow.
on.
Wow.
But I know a lot of killing bass players that don't play keys.
Yeah.
So to say, oh yeah, it makes sense why you're effective on bass is because you're a keyboard player.
Right.
I don't want to
Not
give
necessarily
everyone
true.
else the wrong perspective. Like
Right.
that. It's not always the
Yeah, not
case.
necessarily true.
That's why.
Absolutely.
But our abilities do help. Like
Absolutely.
if you being able to play some guitar and stuff,
Yeah.
like you have a good melodic approach,
Yeah.
like being able to, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it helps.
But that goes
But
back
it's
to
just
that
telling
goes back
me,
to what I
yeah,
said. As far as just having a good ear, you can almost pick up any instrument if your
yeah,
ear is good and if you train it right. So
mm,
like you said, people could have a great ear and play one instrument and not be able to play another instrument. They just might
right.
focus on that one, but you
That
chose to
one,
kind of branch out. I mean, that
mm,
just makes sense. To have that great ear and to put it to use. Yeah,
I put it,
that's so
man,
relevant. I think this is a conversation. It's funny because it's turned into a conversation and it really wasn't a conversation in the beginning. But I think this conversation really needs to be had. And as far
yeah,
as people struggling with what they want to do, as far as learning by ear and how can I train my ear, and I'm not good enough, or if I can only play by ear. So different points or different points of the spectrum as far as learning by ear or not being able to. What you need to do as far as watering it, listen to songs every day, just the same way you can hear music and lyrics. Even like the Chinese language, they have different tones and dialects that they use, and it's
yeah,
literally different pitches of notes. So if they can study it and they can learn it, there's billions of Chinese people or Asians, and you can do it. It's the same way. You just train that ear. You constantly work on it every day. If you already have a great ear, put it to
mm,
use. Take
ex-
advantage of that. You know what I
ex-
mean? So I love where this conversation went, because I get this question. I mean, I don't think you understand. I get this question constantly. This is what this is about. I want to give people the insight from players that
right,
have had experience from what they aspire to do. Say if
right,
I want to be a session musician. I want to be able to play for a gospel artist, or
mm-hmm,
plethora of gospel artists or whatever artists. It doesn't matter. So to have these conversations with guys that have already done it, especially not just from my perspective, from anybody's different perspective. And
yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, you've asked for Frank again, and he's here. He's going to be back, and we're going to be talking more. We're going to be playing more.
man, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
Let's do
definitely
it.
has a lot of insight and a lot of experience as far as playing gospel, while playing whatever. It doesn't matter. Not just even gospel. But he has a lot of insight as far as what to do, even groove techniques and things like that. You guys, you've seen it before. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch the last lesson we did together with the groove technique, the slap technique that I couldn't even get that
Okay,
groove that he something like that,
yes, sir.
right? So yeah, we're just gonna close it out, man. We want to see more of you. We're gonna have him back. Guys, write your comments below the video and ask your questions, so next time we can ask Frank what you guys are asking and what's on your mind. So until next time, guys, see you later.
Let's do it. Appreciate you, DB. You
Yes,
already
sir.
done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.